I do love watching the fish this time of year. It's so nice. Who needs Hulu or Netflix when you can sit there and you can watch fish? Fish are a great thing. I do have to say, if any of you guys get a little bit of land, you should really think about doing the whole pond. I'm very happy that the last owner of this place built a pond. Because a pond is just, there is something about having a pond. Like, it's just a wonderful thing to have. And then, like I say, you stock it full of fish, and it's so great. Again, the only reason right now I regret not being able to drink beer is because there is just something just purely wonderful about sitting on a little dock, drinking beer, throwing out some fish food for the koi. That is an experience. Fortunately, my system doesn't like beer anymore, so it's not an experience that I should have. Maybe I can sit there and I can get some Perrier or something. Oh, maybe that's nice. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go out there and I'll get sparkling water and sit there. Yep, welcome to being in your late 30s. Sparkling water, throwing food in for fish. This is what you guys have to look forward to. But anyways, I do believe it is March 16th today. I know that it's March 16th because my wife was kind of complaining at me to get all the tax information into the accountant, and so I wanted to check what date it was to make sure we had enough time. And so yes, in fact, I think it is March 16th today, and it is Wednesday, and it's a pretty nice day. It's a pretty nice day. I didn't think it was gonna be that nice, to be honest with you. Like I say, it's been kind of like cold and nasty the last few days. But right now it's nice and sunny. I'm just here in my uniform t-shirt I was talking about yesterday. So we're gonna go out and do a stroll. So let's see here. As far as the weight loss program, Geek Diet Redux is concerned. So I'm in the 201 weight frame right now. But I'm feeling pretty good again. I'm feeling pretty good. So like I say, back on Saturday, I went to Whole Foods. And there's this Whole Foods in Annapolis, right? And Whole Foods has these food bars. And Whole Foods in Annapolis, they have like the meat hot bar. Oh my God, they got some good meat there. Good meat there. And man, I chowed down on that meat. And I don't know what the hell it was, because I had some ribs. Some very good ribs. Oh, just succulent, just meat falling off the bone ribs. So I had the ribs, and I had some barbecue. And some, potatoes in there, throwing to round it all out. But oh my God, I don't know what the hell I did. I haven't felt like anything like that in a long time, where it just felt like it all turned into like this weird ball in my stomach. And it's not like a ball like constipation. Like constipation, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. This was more like a ball like right here. It wasn't like constant, it was just felt like this undigested mass. Had indigestion, it was just bad. Didn't feel like, it was just, ugh. All right, so I've been eating lots and lots of veggies and lots of fruit, trying to get all that to pass through. So my system is back to feeling a little bit more normal now. So, let's say, about the 201 frame, not where I hope to be. I had hoped at this point to be under the 200 level. But, here's one of the hard things. Since I'm a role model to some folks out there, I have to do things relatively healthily. And so how a lot of people lose a lot of weight really quick is they do what's called restricting. And basically all restricting is starving your fucking self, right? It's like, if you don't get enough calories in your body, your body burns what you have. Unfortunately, it's not a healthy way of doing things, because the problem is you start burning calories that way, but then you really start craving food again. And so then you get in kind of like this binge restrict mode. And so for you guys, trying to do this all healthy like, and so like I say, going out doing exercise in the morning, I'm eating healthy. Again, it's kind of going through the process. So since I'm doing that, I can't just restrict. Because that would be the thing, right? I mean, honestly, like if I didn't have to deal with you guys, if I didn't have to look you in the camera lens every day or so, what I really could do is basically just starve myself for a day. Drop myself below that 200 mark, and then be careful what food I eat again. And again, like I say, it is a way to lose weight. It is not a good way to lose weight. It is not the way you should lose weight, but it is a way to make yourself feel a little better. I'm not gonna do that because I have to be a responsible adult now for all the folks out there. That's a problem you get into. That's one of the reasons why I talk about all this stuff. It's because people just do things poorly. And then unfortunately, what they do is hate the sin, not the sinner, as they say. And so the problem is you should also use that for when you think about yourself. And so what happens is a lot of times people use bad methods. They use bad methodologies they're basically set out to fail from the beginning. Again, like I say, restriction diets, you're going to fail. It's just how it is. But people do that, and then when they fail, which anybody would know that they're going to fail, but then they internalize it. It's not that this system failed. It's not that this method failed. It's that I failed. And again, right? You can't fail. You can give up. And so the problem is if you use one method that doesn't work for you, and then you internalize that, you don't say that method failed. You say you failed. Well, then once you say that you fail, then you give up and you go eat a double bacon cheeseburger and an extra large fry and down a six pack of beer afterwards, and then it's all over. You know what I'm saying? Once you got that 6-pack of beer in your hand, it's all over. You didn't fail. At that point, you're just giving the hell up, right? And so that's what I'm trying to show you guys with this. Is a nice, slow, methodical approach gets it done. And now I know some people will be snarky, be like, well, Eli, if you have experience doing this, obviously it shows it doesn't work for you. And for me, like I say, the main issue with going up and down with weight is, again, my life changes a lot. Like, again, like every day, I mean, if you guys watch my videos, you notice so many things come into my life, out of my life. I start businesses, I shut down businesses, I deal with my wife's cancer, we move, we go into travel trailers. And so a lot of the problem that I have is, since I don't live a normal life, I mean, the best way to stay healthy as far as food is concerned is just to do something consistently. Consistency is the #1 key to weight loss and health. Consistency, right? So you go to the gym in the morning, you exercise for a reasonable amount of time. Again, I'm not trying to get dogmatic here. I'm not trying to get ethical or moral. A reasonable amount of time. Oh, Eli, what's a reasonable amount of time? Whatever you believe a reasonable amount of time is. You just go and you basically do that every morning. Again, with eating. Eat healthier. Oh yeah, well, I know what you mean, Eli. Great, you know what you mean. You know what I mean, and they know what I mean. And everybody can have their own idea about what I mean. Again, I'm not saying be a vegan. I'm not saying be a vegetarian. I'm not saying do Atkins. I'm just saying eat healthier. Whatever you imagine healthier to be is probably better than you're eating now. And that's really all you gotta do. If you want to lose weight, just change whatever you're doing now. If you want to see a change to the better, all you have to do is change what you're doing now. So again, like, if all it is you stop drinking a 6-pack of beer every night, you may still be eating bacon double cheeseburgers and french fries, but at least you're not drinking 1,000 calories of alcohol, right? Is it the best diet in the world? Probably not. Is it better than what you were doing before? Yes. And that's all Eli ever asks out of anybody. Just do a little bit better than you did before, and life will go better, right? But anyways, and so that's why, like I said, I've had the fluctuation just because I've had a chaotic life. Again, even like next week, that's one of the things I have to figure out. So this company called INE, online training company, and so they've paid me to go down to North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina for the week. And so, I've gotten into this exercise routine, I've gotten into this food routine, and now one of the questions for me is, once I go down there, how do I deal with it when I'm down there? Because it's simple things, like, okay, so I work out 6 days a week now, but that's a lot of exercise clothes, because I get stinky sweaty. Not only do I sweat, I do not know what the hell comes out of Eli's pores, man. That's just like, oh my God. That's horrible. I do. There's sometimes I look at my wife and it's like, I just don't understand how you go to bed with me at night, dude. I just don't understand how you can be within a foot of me sometimes. Because there is just some stinky crap that comes out of an Eli. But the thing is, so you don't really think about it. So it's like, well, when you go to Durham, North Carolina, you just exercise when you get there. But it's like, okay, well, do I need to bring, 6 shirts and 6 more socks and 6 of this and 6 of the other, and what will I do when I get there, and will the gym actually work, and blah blah blah, and then how will food be done? Because again, it's real nice here on my little diet, on my healthier diet, right? I just, when I go to the store, I buy the food that I want to eat, and then I come home and I eat the food that I want to eat. Even if I want to go out, let's say I go to lunch or something, And then that's one meal where I go to lunch, and maybe that's not the best meal, but that's one meal in a day, you know, a couple meals in a week. Well, the issue is you then go to, you know, go down to Durham, you know, buying food at the restaurants or whatever, and then all of a sudden, eating healthy food goes from a really simple task to trying to figure it out. I mean, especially with a lot of this restaurant food anymore. Again, and I'm not snarking on restaurant food, but like American restaurant food is really screwed up. Where like you can go and like there are places where the fucking salads have like 1,500 calories, right? You're just like, what the hell is that shit? It's a salad. You know, when I buy a salad, I'm trying to get at least like generally healthy. How the hell does a salad have 1,500 calories? And that's one of the problems you get into. And this is one of the things why I want you guys to be thinking about what you do and what you eat and all that. Is if I go out and I eat 2 big cheesy slices of pizza and I gain weight, you laugh at me and go, of course, Eli. You would be stupid to think otherwise. Of course, you're going out and eating pizza every day. Where, if you go out and you eat a big old salad every lunch and then you're gaining weight and you're like, I just don't understand what's going on. And it's like, well, dumbass, that salad literally has more calories than those 2 massive pieces of pizza that I was eating. Who's a dumbass now, right? So anyway, so that's why I fluctuate a bit. I'm trying to figure out how to get it under control, how to get it good, because I think my life is only going to get more interesting over the next few years. I'm really liking being this personality thing. Like, I don't know, I wasn't comfortable with it before. I'm actually not sure if I'm really still comfortable with it, but it's kind of like, as I always say in life, if the spaghetti monster pushes you in a direction, there's 2 ways you can go. You can fight with all your energy, and you're probably gonna break a bone, because the spaghetti monster is much stronger than you. Or you can just go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? And so basically, as far as being a personality is concerned, I'm still not sure how I feel about it, or really don't know how I feel about it, but that is the way the monster is pushing me. I feel that little noodle on my back going, motherfucker, you're going in that direction. I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it. I don't know. I don't know what the hell is supposed to happen, so I'll just do it as I'm told. Again, success in life. I think 99% of success in life is just doing what you're told. The world tells you to do something, you know what, fuck it, just do it. Because if you fight, you're not gonna win, and you're just gonna get hurt all at the same time. So yeah, fuck it, go with the world. Anyways, anywho, so yeah, it'll be interesting going off to I&E next week. Because we'll go down there, and then I'll be interviewing. So I'll be doing like at least 2 interviews per day with all kinds of interesting, cool people. Again, a little intimidating, because basically I'll be interviewing like CCIE. I mean, like, think about that. Like, yeah, I'm smart and all that, but basically it's going to be like interviewing like 8 to 10 CCIE level folks, like bringing in like actual Cisco folks, and you know. It's like, if you want me to give you advice on how to put up pull tab signs for your CCIE business, I can tell you. But yeah, CCIE is so fucking far over my head. So it'll be interesting though. So I'm gonna go and do those interviews. That should be good. Let's see what else has been going on. Oh, I did see a Cloverfield. If any of you guys are thinking about going and watch a movie, 10 Cloverfield Lane. It gets like a 45-degree angle up. It's not Deadpool. You know, I heard a lot of people saying like 10 Cloverfield Lane was like amazing, especially having, was it John Goodman in it. So I was really excited it would be like the next Deadpool. Yeah, it's not a Deadpool. Deadpool was so good. I'm like, I can't remember the last time I wanted a sequel to come out so badly. Like, it wasn't like since Star Wars. Like, since like the original Star Wars, and I was like waiting for like Return of the Jedi. I think that's the last time I was this excited for like a sequel movie. I so want Deadpool 2. I don't know what it was. Like, you watch Deadpool, and that was like the best movie I've seen in so long. Like, the only thing that I find tragic about Deadpool is that I can never see it again for the first time. It's like one of those, you just want like a mind wipe. You just want to be able to like walk out of the theater, pay another $5 for them to wipe my mind, you know, buy a cup of coffee and go back in and watch it again. I just like Deadpool that much. But anyways, so 10 Cloverfield Lane is not Deadpool, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And it is interesting, like when we start seeing these media things, it shows a bit of like a paradigm shift about how like even things like storytelling is being done in this modern world. And what I think is really interesting about 10 Cloverfield Lane isn't the movie itself. The movie itself is a pretty, it's a pretty creepy normal movie. I mean, you get the idea. If you watch the previews for it, you basically get the idea. The only thing you don't get the idea in the previews is like the last like quarter of it. But again, you can probably imagine what that is. But that unto itself isn't really interesting. Like the storyline and all that. It was good to see John Goodman again. Haven't seen him in anything for a long time. But that unto itself wasn't that great. It was a good movie. It was a good enough movie. It was an iTunes movie. I would say that. You could wait for iTunes because you definitely don't need IMAX. You definitely don't need to see it in IMAX. I mean, there's just no reason to see it in IMAX. Watch it on iTunes. It's a good movie on iTunes, but watch it on iTunes. But anyways, the interesting part with the 10 Cloverfield Lane isn't so much the movie itself, but it's this whole idea of actually starting to do more movies within the same storyline, especially with like new intellectual property. So kind of like how Marvel is doing things, or Disney is doing things with Marvel and with Star Wars, where you create this one universe and then you start telling different stories in the universe. And what I think is curious with the whole Cloverfield franchise is it's actually telling different stories with different methodologies. So I didn't actually see Cloverfield, but I got the gist that basically it's like a Blair Witch Project for alien invasion. So, that's a lot of first person whatever. So you have the first person storyline from the initial invasion. And then you have this storyline, which is a much more normal type movie, but instead of really being a science fiction movie, it's more of like that thriller-ish movie. And then the idea is, it seems like at the end, it's gonna go off and I don't know, become more of a typical war movie or something. But it is interesting, like in this modern world, with things like intellectual property and how stories are starting to be told in different ways than they were before. Like again, I like the Marvel shows, and I do have to say, S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is good. I was worried about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was just shaking my head. I was like, oh yes, what the hell, this is just a gimmick. But I do have to say, in season 2 and now season 3, they really have pulled it around. But it's interesting, like you start seeing like these stories, and so you have the initial interest in the storylines because of things like comic books and all that from people like me that, read comic book years ago. And so we understand the basic storylines. And then you start doing these movies. And then with the movies, you have all of these movies tying into each other, again, within the same world that they've created. And then you have the television show that then, tries to tie in all of these different stories on a continuing basis. So this is something called Transmedia, which is an interesting idea. The idea with Transmedia is that you start telling a story, but you use multiple forms of media for that storyline. So instead of like just movies, you do movies, and you do TV shows, and you do webisodes, and you do this, and you do that, and you do the other thing. And they all tie into that one storyline, so you get a better idea of what's going on. And it's really kind of curious with the modern world and entertainment. And it'll be interesting to see where that goes into the future. Especially with Disney now, and the whole Star Wars thing. Because I don't even know what the hell's going to go on Star Wars now. Is because they're going to do the three sequels or whatever part 7, 8, and 9. But then they're going to do like a Han Solo individual one, and then they're going to do other ones with completely new characters, but within the same universe. So it is kind of a curious thing with how all of this is going. Where it will end, who the hell knows? But anyway, so what I want to talk about today, the main topic of today, is would you still do it if one person showed up? So I think this is a good mental exercise you should do, you should think about whenever you're going to be starting a business, whenever you're going to be starting a venture. So how this comes about is, so tonight is the first meetup. Yay! So the first Silicon Discourse group technology powwow meetup, right? So what I've decided to do is these Silicon Discourse Skype meetings have gone so well, and the individual meeting people has gone so well. What I'm going to try to do is turn it into a meetup. Look, it's like trans consulting. I consult and actually though, actually going off on a little tangent here, this is the type of thing that you should be thinking about with your business, right? So consulting in the old days was, you come to me, you pay me an hourly rate, and then I consult for you. And then there was this revolutionary idea, I'll become your virtual CTO. So you come, you pay me basically a monthly rate, and then you can come to me as much as need be, right? And that was really it. Like, as far as like things are consulting are concerned, really, there's not a lot of new stuff. Basically new ways to pay and deliver kind of the same old product. But what's interesting, again, we start talking about transmedia, and this is what's so important for you guys to be looking at the wider business world around you, and then start thinking about what that means for your business. And so like with transmedia, we're talking about, okay, you have the same storyline. So you have a storyline that spans over books and comic books and movies and TV shows and webisodes. But how does that work with a normal business? And you kind of think about like what I'm doing, and it's like trans consulting, right? So I create classes about technology to teach people about specific concepts in technology. And then I do question and answer videos. So when people have specific questions, I then answer those videos. That goes out to everybody. And then I do Skype meetings. And so these are one-on-one meetings with people, but it's over Skype, so it can be global. And then I start doing these meetups, and the meetups are me, basically, like I say, this group consulting thing where everybody gets together. And so it's this whole thing of, how do you deliver services in this modern world? And do you have to deliver services the same old way? Because what I would argue, really, if you think about it, I've actually simply recreated, or I'm about to finish recreating my old consulting business, simply in an incredibly modern way, right? Because that's what I got paid for before, right? A lot of people think I got paid for an MCSE, or I got paid for setting up servers. And that was just simply what had to get done. What I really got paid for was the consulting. You know, Eli, do we get a Linux server, or do we get a small business server? Do we host this stuff locally, or do we put it on the cloud? The real money, the real reason you hire me is for those decisions. And then actually installing all that horse crap, that's just the tedious stuff that needs to be done, right? And so if you really look at it, like how I'm winding up with this business, as I'm winding up in like this transmedia consulting business. So with all of these different tools and all of these different resources, I'm getting paid in multiple different ways, essentially doing the same thing, explaining to people why certain products and services are better than other products and services, and telling them what the hell to buy, right? And again, that's just one of those things to be thinking about. Like I say, in this modern world, is how do you keep up with stuff? How do you actually continue to get paid? So with some of you guys who want to be computer repair consultants, something to think about is, again, if you try to charge people $100 an hour or $150 an hour, which is what you need to do, you need to bill out $100 an hour minimum in order to get by. This isn't an argument, this is just whatever. And so one of the questions is, okay, if people don't want to pay for that, well, how can you get it done? And so something you can think about is like, what about things like group consultations? Could you charge $25 per hour and get 6 people in a room, right? And do whatever, right? Talk about things. So, you've got multiple businesses interested in migrating to the cloud. Instead of working with them one-on-one, again, doing educational seminars or something else like that, is an interesting way that like youth hostels actually end up making a lot of money. So I don't know how many of you guys have stayed in youth hostels, but basically a youth hostel is, especially when you travel around Europe, are good. Because what you do is, instead of renting a full room, you just rent a bunk bed. So you get one bed, right? And so they throw, they throw anywhere between 6 to literally 20 beds into a room. And so you sit there, and when you're first thinking about it, you're like, a hotel room in this area of the world would cost like $200 a night. And then you're looking around, and you're like, wow, they must be willing to take a loss because they're only charging us $15, or it's usually more than that now. Let's say $20 a night. Well, here's the thing. If they've got 20 beds in a room, and that room is full, they're now making $400 a night in total. So for us individually, it's a lot less expensive than getting a room. But for them, they can sell out the entire room and actually end up making more money. And again, this is something you guys should be thinking about as consultants. A lot of consultants are so used to, okay, I go to somebody's office, I sit down in the office, we discuss their individual problems. Can you do things like group consultations? Again, like I say, do like the whole virtual CIO thing or whatever, and say, okay, this is gonna be a cohort of people. You know, I'm gonna have cohorts. There's gonna be 6 people per cohort, and you all pay $250 per month, and every week we meet for an hour or 2, right? So again, $250 per month is chump change for a real business. It means nothing, but that means for every cohort, you're making $1,500 per month. Essentially for 2 hours per week, which will come out to about 8 hours per month, which is $175 an hour. So it's chump change to them. It's a lot of money to you. It's rather easy to do. And you also have the benefit by if you get a group of people together, they can all help each other out. So you do one cohort at 6 people, $250 a piece, that's $1,500 a month. And then you get 2 cohorts, would be another night, that gets you to $3,000. You get 3 cohorts, $4,500. You get 4 cohorts, that gets you up to $6,000. You get 5, so let's say, just say 5 days work a week, that gets you up to $7,500, right? Just by thinking about things differently. Would they want to pay you $100 an hour to do work? No. Would they be willing to spend $250 per month, basically for you to be the person that kind of looks over their shoulder and gives a service like that? Yeah. So anyways, so yes, tonight is the first meetup. First meetup. So people are gonna come to Wegmans up in Hunt Valley, and the Wegmans is a grocery store around here. That's really nice. I'm very happy because there's gonna be a Wegmans that's coming into the Owings Mills area. So anyways, tonight I have to like drive half an hour to this place. The cool part is they have like a food buffet bar in the bottom, and then you go up the stairs and they just have this huge second floor area that a lot of people don't realize exists. So we're gonna go up there, and we got like 4 or 5 people coming, and so we'll do the individual, basically, like I say, it's like individual but group consultation. So one person will sit to my left, and then they'll have their list of questions, and we'll go through their list of questions. And basically I'll give them like the undivided attention, and then go to next, go to next, go to next. And then the idea is like afterwards, then other people in the group can say, oh, well, you know, with you talking with Eli about X, Y, or Z, what I would say is you may think about this. Or if somebody says, you know, I want to start a web design company, and so, you know, the advice I'm going to give, okay, well, you need to go out there and start building a portfolio. Hopefully if another person's in the group and can say, hey, you know what, you know, my church group needs a website. If you're willing to design a website, we'll pay a few bucks for it, right? So kind of get that whole group thing going on. So this is the first night of it. So I'm really excited about this. I think this will work out. And if it does work out and does go well, I'm meeting with Ed actually tomorrow. Ed is a CIO level guy, so if this goes well, he'll be useful for stuff. And then what's really like revolutionary about this, and I figured out how I can make money, how I can make real money, not fucking $250, real money, is so I was trying to figure out, so we're gonna go down to Durham, North Carolina, or I'm going down to Durham, North Carolina next week. And so I figured, okay, if I'm going down to Durham, North Carolina, I might as well do one of these meetups down there, because everywhere I go, there's apparently people that want to meet me. So I set up the meetup last night, or I set up the meetup and said it would be on Wednesday, and let people sign up. And I've already got like 5 people signed up for it. But one of the things that I said is it will be in Durham, but I'm not sure exactly where because I don't know Durham. And so I was kind of trying to come up with ideas, right? I was like, where could I do it in Durham? So I was thinking about like a Panera, or then there was like Golden Corral or whatever is like a buffet place. And again, I don't know Durham at all. Like here in the Baltimore area, at least I have ideas. They may be bad ideas, but I have ideas. And there, I don't even know. I don't know distances, I don't know anything. So I was trying to come up with things. And then I thought about it. And I was like, you know, since I'm going to INE anyway, and they do have a conference room, and they're trying to do advertising and all that, I wonder if INE would want to host this thing. And so I contacted INE, and they're like, yeah, sure, you can have it at our place, and we'll buy the pizza and we'll buy the beer. And then that's where I had the revolutionary business idea. That's where the motherfucking money is. And again, one of the things I want to show you guys about how business works in the real world is everybody thinks that you crap out this perfect idea and then that's what you do. When in reality, it's kind of like this weird zigzaggy path. And so see, what I was thinking is it's like, oh, okay. So INE is more than happy to have us. Again, it's only gonna be 4 or 5 people, so it's not large. I'm not gonna try to get money out of INE for this. But you know, if I can get more people coming, like if I can build this up here in the Baltimore area to get like 20 or 30 people to come, we'd have to work on the exact way it gets done. But let's say you can get 20 or 30 people to come. Here's the thing, a lot of these tech companies in the Baltimore area or anywhere, the big thing that they need is advertising, right? As I've talked to you guys about, one of the biggest problems with advertising is how do you advertise your products and services when you're at the cutting edge, right? So if you're doing computer repair, advertising computer repair is dirt easy because people know whether or not they need computer repair. Like when I need computer repair, what do? I go to Google and I type in I type in computer repair. And then if Eli the computer guy spent the most money to get the ads to show up first, then I show up first and they call me. And that's basically how it works, right? But here's the thing, like what if you're doing like cutting edge work? What if you're doing, again, like what if you're coming up with a competitor for Lambda? So Lambda is Amazon Web Services, like pure compute, right? Or was it Elastic Beanstalk, right? What if you're coming up with a thing for Elastic Beanstalk? And the issue is most people don't even know what the hell Elastic Beanstalk is, much less would know what the hell a competitor to Elastic Beanstalk is. So one of the problems you run into is you just need people to understand what the hell you're doing, right? Because until they understand your product enough to be able to do a Google search for it, then you're kind of up shit's creek as far as advertising is concerned, right? Because even if you buy the really expensive ad, if nobody understands what you're talking about, it doesn't matter. You may have the greatest product in the world, but if people look at it and don't grasp what you're talking about, it's still worthless, right? And so what I was thinking, so if I can get tech people, I can get business people to come and do these group consultations, right? We get that up to 20 or 30 people. I can then start charging like a location sponsor. So again, somebody like INE, what I do is I charge a few $1,000s and we will happily come to their location for that week. You know, I charge a few $1,000 plus they pay for the pizza and beer, whatever the hell else they want. And then I will bring all my people to their location and then all their people can schmooze. And so this is a way that I could get sponsors kind of without selling out my brand, right? Because that's one thing I really do worry about for myself is I am a professional at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I consider whether anybody else still considers it, I still consider myself a tech professional, right? So I have to be really careful with selling myself out as far as products and sponsorships goes, because I don't want to be seen as a sellout, right? Because again, if somebody does what I say, or they take advice, and they deploy that in their data center, and then their data center go boom. No, people don't forget when data centers go boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, when your infrastructure crashes, you remember that. And you remember who told you to use some dumbass product, and you hate that person for the rest of your life, right? So I have to be really careful as far as with sponsorships or whatever, to seem like I'm not, selling out or whatever. And so what's cool with this idea is if I'm going to get people together, I have to be somewhere, right? It's not like we can just sit down in some yard and, I guess we could, but it's what I'm saying, like you have to have a location to do these meetings, right? So that's a given. And then the other thing too is a lot of people want to learn more about the local tech scene. So by going to different tech companies or doing the events in different tech companies, they'll be happy because they get to meet people, right? If you want a job, if you're trying to get into web development, and then we do one of these meetings at a web development company, that's an added benefit to you, right? It's a benefit to the company because they're trying to look for clients and they're trying to look for employees and they're trying to look for all these resources. But it's also a benefit for you because you're trying to get hired or you're trying to find somebody that will build your product. And I don't have to say anything about it one way or the other. I don't have to give my opinion at all. I can just say, I am very happy that this particular company is hosting us tonight. And that's all I have to say. I don't have to say, I'm really happy that this wonderful, amazing, low-cost company is hosting us tonight. Oh, hell no. Or anything else. I just say, I am very happy that these people are hosting us tonight, and make sure, once the conversation is over, you go and chat with these folks. And then, of course, we mix them into the whole conversation a little bit just so everybody's happy, right? And that way, they get to be seen, they get to be noticed, you get to meet them, I get to make money, and ever again, win, 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 win. There's this idea in the modern world, like with business, like with this whole hacking concept or anything else, that somehow, you know, the only way to be successful is to screw somebody over. You know, win, win, lose. Win, lose, lose. Like there's this idea that everybody's got to lose, so somebody's got to lose somehow. You might have 2 wins, but there's got to be a loss in there. When I argue with business, it should be win, win, win. Everybody should win. Like if I do this, like I say, these companies get public exposure. You guys get to learn more about these companies. That again is vital. I mean, if you need to hire subcontractors, you need to hire subcontractors. I mean, like I say, there's this idea in like the tech world, like somehow you can sit on a mountaintop and build a data center. Like I shall build a data center with cardboard and Elmer's glue. Like, you know, you need money, right? You need servers. I don't care whether you buy Dell servers or Lenovo servers or you build your own damn server. You can't poop out a server, right? So you need services anyway. So it's good for you guys because you see what else is going on around. And again, like I say, it's good for me because you make money. And then again, like when we start talking about money and you're like, well, Eli, oh, you're talking about money, but you know what can that possibly be worth? Again, remember, I pump everybody about money. One of the reasons why you need to talk about money is so that you learn how valuable certain things are. So if you get ideas, you already have that stuff in your head, right? So one of the reasons I always talk with people about money is I'm always curious about how much they're making. Is that a viable business? Not because I necessarily care right now, but because I might care in the future. It's really funny. Like I'll go to these meetings or I'll go to meetups or whatever, and I'll be poking people on questions. And then like so many times I'll get like that older person. You know that stupid old person? You know the quaff. You know how there's like old people in these meetup groups if you ever go? And they're just bricks. But they're pretty bricks. They're kind of like the George Clooney brick. You know what I'm saying? Like they're older, they've got some gray or whatever, they're all quaff, right? And they try to come in and they act like the elder statesman. And I hate these people because all they've got is they look like the elder statesman. Other than that, they're just bricks. But so many times these bricks, you know, they'll look at me and I'll be grilling somebody over something. Be like, oh, why do you need this information? Are you doing a startup company? And I'll look at them. No. Are you going to invest in them? No. Oh, I don't understand why you're asking these questions. And I'll just look at them and go, I know you don't understand because you're a fucking George Clooney brick. Because here's the thing, smart people try to get answers to questions they have not yet asked. That's how you're smart. How you're smart in the real world is not that you somehow magically think things up. It's you're always out, you're always inquisitive, you're always poking people, and you're just getting this fucking stockpile of answers. You're just getting this massive stockpile of answers so that when you do have a question, you can just go back to that stockpile and rifle through the index and go, oh, I got that question a little while ago, right? And the nice part too is when you ask people questions, when you're not trying to do a startup, when you're not an investor, when you're not a buyer, people will be more honest with you, right? Because if I go in as an investor, because I could be an investor, I was going to be an investor until I decided all these people were fucking idiots. But anyway, that's his own story, right? But if you go in as an investor, as in I want to write $25,000 check or $50,000 check or $100,000 check, the problem is people start acting politically correct. They start answering questions in the way that they expect you to want the question answered. Because all they care about is the cash. You know, again, like I say, most of these startup people don't care about the technology. They don't actually care about the product. They don't really care about the problem they're solving. What they really care about is a $1 billion idea, right? And it's true. Like I've actually been to these things where the speaker talks about how they spent 6 months coming up with a $1 billion idea. They didn't care about healthcare. They didn't care about housing. They didn't care about coming up with a dog dating service. What they cared about is coming up with a fucking $1 billion idea, right? And so the problem is that you go in there and you act like an investor, or you're willing to be an investor. They start answering the questions in the way that they expect you would want so that you sign the check. Or if you go in there and you're interested as a client, as a customer, then they start answering things in the way in order to get you, again, to write a check. And if you go in as an employee, they answer things in the way, right? And so it's always slanted and it's always skewed and it's always just garbage information. Here's the thing. What I like about being an Aspie, what I like about being me, is I just walk into the middle of everything. Nobody knows why the fuck I'm ever anywhere. I really am. I'm like that weird guy. I'm like that weird, like, stocky guy that, like, people just don't know what the hell to do with me. I'm just sitting there and they're like, yeah, we really don't know why the hell Eli's here. But he seems to know why he's here. And he's very intent on things. So, you know what? Just answer his questions and hopefully he'll go home without making a stink. All right, so I go in. And again, I'm not writing checks. There's no real value in whatever answer you give me, right? You can give me whatever answer in the world. And I come in with the guards down to show that what I really respect is honesty, right? And so again, people, oh, okay. So if you show them what you really want is honesty, and there's nothing else to kind of skew their deal, they normally give you honesty. And so that's the thing, is so I go in like this, and so I get all these answers. So I go to people, and look, I don't personally have a horse in this race. Just curious, can you answer these questions for me? And I give them the look. I give them that look, because I've got the forehead going on, I got the chin, the beard, I've got the dark eyes. I give them that look, saying, I don't have a horse in this race, but if you lie to me, I might be willing to field one. And so again, they kind of look at me like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with this guy. And most of the time they answer, like, really, really honestly. And so the thing is so like I say, you get those answers and then you put them in your way in your head. And so that's the thing, like with these events, like you're thinking, oh, well, how much money can events be worth? Again, talking with people over the years, events are worth a stupid amount of money. Even simple events, like little cheesy events like what I'm talking about. Like one of the event companies around here that does tech events, I was talking to them, and so they did this really crappy, I don't want to be too snarky with them, but it wasn't great, it wasn't like an awesome event, but it was like they got 30 people in the room, and it was a panel discussion, and they got sponsorships for it. So it was like a 2-hour panel discussion, somebody else paid for the food, somebody else paid for the beer, one of these companies paid, basically, they were the location sponsor or whatever, $5,000. $5,000 to get 20 or 30 people to show up to a tech company and listen to an adequate panel discussion. Right? Again, talking with, and again, you can go out and you can find these numbers yourself, and you just got to do your own math. So like with Ron, so Ron Schmelzer does the Baltimore Tech Breakfast. He has like 13 of those things now. And again, there's no Batcave there's no Batcave rules on what you advertise your prices to be. But I think when you look at his billboard, so he has all these sponsors, right? And they are like, they're somewhere between $250 to $350 a pop. And when you look at his sponsor board, it damn near puts NASCAR to shame. I like look at that sponsor board and I'm just like, man, there are so many sponsors out there. Like visually, I can't even recognize all the different sponsors he's all got on there. And they're all just shelling out $250, $350 pop. And so again, starts to get your mind thinking. And this is where, like I say, you should always be thinking about multiple questions. You should always be thinking about problems you don't yet have and trying to figure out how all this stuff works. So he was getting like $250 a pop for the sponsorship. I was watching that grow and grow. And then at one point, one of his sponsors actually came and did an interview with, or I interviewed them. And after it was over, I was asking him about sponsoring the Tech Breakfast, because it's like $250 a pop. It's like a minimum year sponsorship. So it's $3,000 a year. So basically that means for Ron, he comes out to somewhere around $3,000 he makes per 2-hour Tech Breakfast. And here's the thing, all right? A location is given to him. Food is peanuts. And basically they do demos. So the presentation or whatever is people that actually want to do the presentation. So, you know, he makes like $3,000 per one of these things. You can do the math. This is not Batcave rules. With like minimal, like, you know, his gross is like, or his net is like 98% or something. A little bit of coffee, a little bit of bagels. So anyway, so I was talking to one of the people that sponsored him because I was curious about this. Again, thinking about questions you don't necessarily have right at this moment. And I was talking to the guy and I was like, yeah, so out of curiosity, like, what do you guys get out of sponsoring Ron and Tech Breakfast and all that kind of stuff. Because again, you know, you look at the billboard, it looks like a NASCAR thing. There's so many logos up there, you can barely recognize all the logos. And then Ron does. I mean, Ron gives the opportunity for all of his sponsors to do shout outs during the Tech Breakfast. And for some reason, they just don't. Like, I've seen it. I've seen them actually be frustrated over this. Where part of the things that they buy is that they can do their own little shout out. And then most of them, frankly, don't even do the shout out. So I was talking to this guy. I'm like, you know, what do you guys all get for it? Because, I mean, he's sold out. He's sold all of his spots. And the person looked at me and said, oh, we just want to support the local tech community. And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, yeah, I mean, $250, again, to a real business, $250 per month, $3,000 per year is chump change. That's like crap they find in the equivalent of their mattresses. It is not a significant amount of money. So he's like, if we could chip in $250 and this keeps the local tech scene alive and vibrant, that's all we care about, right? $3,000. Who the hell cares about $3,000? Right? It's like, oh. So that's why I'm thinking with this, is this may be a good thing, because if I can get it to grow a bit, then that's a good little chunk of change, right? I'll take $3,000 for doing 2 hour spiels. I like that. $1,500 an hour. Now there is commute time involved. There is commute time and all that, but you know, when you do the math, Eli, and it seems like $1,500 an hour, but Eli, when you do the math on it, you'll realize it's like $750 an hour. I'll take $750 an hour. But anyway, so that's why I think it could actually be successful, because lots of you guys have questions. Lots of people have questions. I have the personality to hopefully bring this off, and so it could actually work out. But it's funny how long I can talk for, because the original thing that I was going to say, the original point of all this, was to talk about, would you do this for one person? And so talking about why this could be successful and talking about where the money could be. The big thing, though, at the end of the day, the big question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to do this day in and day out? Right, that's the big thing. So I've had a lot of ideas over the years, and anybody that's followed me knows I've had a lot of ideas. I've thrown a lot of them against the wall, and a lot of them have fallen off, right? Just because I haven't been that interested, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about the grind. It's all about putting out work, right? The reason that I'm successful at YouTube is not because I have a good voice. It's not because I know technology very well. It's not because I can break down concepts. It's because I've done 2,000 videos. It's not the idea, it's not the skill, it's whether you're willing to do this day in and day out. And so I was thinking about this with the whole, with doing this meetup, and the question of, you know, whether I can make it successful and whether people will come, and like how many people I would need to make it successful, to make it so that I would want to do this every week, right? And I realized, I do believe, I haven't done it yet, tonight will be the first time, but I do believe that I think even if I had one person come, which would be $5 that they pay and would be no sponsorship money, that I would still be willing to do it, that I actually enjoy doing it. So I've been, again, like, just like you ask all these different questions, even if you don't know what the answer is, the other thing is you should also be doing all these different little experiments to see what you want to do. And so like with me, right, you know, last year when we were traveling around for 9 months in travel trailer, I decided to see about meeting people, doing Silicon Trailer. So when we went to different places, actually meeting people and talking about their issues. And you know what I found? I like doing that. What I found is I also had no idea how you'd make money off of it, because one person trying to figure out what they should do with their career is not what we call valuable. You know what I'm saying? People are like, you should charge $100 for one of these meetings. I remember somebody said that. It's like, you should charge at least $100 for these meetings. And they looked at him and said, would you be able to pay $100 for one of these meetings? He was like, no. I was like, yeah, well, you know what? So anyway, so I learned, like, meeting with people, that I enjoy doing that. And then doing these Silicon Discourse, the Skype meetings. Again, I'm over 200 of those at this point. Been doing those since, October or something. And I really enjoy doing those. And so thinking about this particular thing, like expanding it to like the group consultation, I feel pretty confident that I will actually enjoy doing it. And the most important thing to be thinking about is that I'd be willing to do it even if only one person shows up. And so this is an important thing for you guys to really be thinking about with whatever business you're going to be doing, is would you be willing to do it if only one person showed up? One person. Because the problem with a lot of people is they think their prime motivation in business is about money. They think the prime motivation is about money, and they think the prime motivation is about respect, and they think the prime motivation is all about this bling, right? Hey, Eli, you pay me enough money and I'll do it. And what you find out in the real world is even if you pay people a crap ton of money, if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. And so what the problem is you get a lot of people, like they'll get into programming or they'll get into these things that they don't want to do. And then doesn't matter how much money or respect or anything else they get, they're just not going to want to do it. So one of the things I want you guys to be thinking about is whatever your projects are, would you be willing to do it even if you didn't get paid for it? So like with this, right? So, I'm doing this fail normal. So obviously I make money off of Eli, the computer guy, and Eli, the computer guy's decent money, and Eli Computer Guy Live is about $1,000 a month. But like with this, right? I get paid I'm up to $16. I'm up to $16 a month for doing these fail normal videos. But you know what? I enjoy doing it. I get to come out here, I get to walk, I get to have some exercise, I get to have my neighbors look at me as if I'm completely insane. I mean, it's a very good time. So even though I'm probably not going to be making very much money off of this, even though I don't know where the future and all that is with this kind of thing, I'm willing to do it day in, day out. Basically every day I come out here and I blabber into a camera for an hour. And so I know that with this, that if I wanted to make money off of this, basically I know that I'm willing to do it, right? And again, that's something that a lot of people don't realize. And that's why I tell you guys to create portfolios, why you guys should be going out there and doing work even if you don't get paid. Because here's the thing, if you're willing to build websites when you're not getting paid, surprise, you're probably going to be willing to build more websites when you are getting paid, right? So if you're building one website a week or one website every 2 weeks, when you're not really making any money off of it, and then somebody comes and they say, hey, I'm willing to pay you a lot of money to do what you're doing for free, that's probably going to work, right? That's probably going to work, right? Where on the other hand, if you absolutely refuse to build websites, you're just like, oh, I know I should do websites because I know that's how Eli tells me that's how I can get paid. But then you don't build any websites, you don't do anything, and then somebody comes to you and they offer you $10,000 to do it. I'll give you $10,000 to build a 5-page website. Here's the thing. Here's what you think is going to happen. What you think is going to happen, you're going to be like, yes, that's the motivation I need. Now that I'm going to have $10,000, I'm going to get right on this, and I'm going to build an amazing website. But that's not what's really going to happen. What's really going to happen is you're going to boot your computer, and then you're just going to kind of stare at it. And you're going to stare at it for an hour, a day, a week, 2 months, and then the person's going to start calling, going, where the hell's my website? You're like, I'm doing the website. And it all goes downhill because you're not actually motivated to do the work. You don't actually want to do the work. And this is the biggest problem that I see. Again, everybody thinks it's all about Eli, the motivation and all that's all about the money. No, it's about do you want to do it. Again, if you go out and you build networks, or you repair networks, or you repair computers, are you willing to do it for free? Are you willing to do it for free to get the experience so that once you have the experience, you could make a crap ton of money? And if you're not, if you go out there and every day you're miserable, and every day it sucks, and every day it's horrible, what that's really telling you is you just need to find something else to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I found. Like with me, I do all these different experiments. So I've tried to do online communities. So I've done a couple of attempts at online communities. And what I found is I fucking hate administering online communities, right? Because all of these people that up until this point I thought I liked, I don't know what happens. They all turn 14 years old. As soon as anybody gets onto an online community, they could be they could be like Bill Gates. Like Bill Gates could come onto an online community and all of a sudden he's gonna be trying to hack crap and flaming people and acting like a 14-year-old having a temper tantrum. I don't know what it is. No matter what happened, you get anybody. And so that's what I found is doing an online community. Again, trying to administer that crap, I hated it. It was tedious. It was obnoxious. Again, trying to do the Silicon Discourse thing. So Silicon Discourse with other mentors. So I had that idea, okay, I'll get other mentors involved and we'll do Skype meetings and all that kind of stuff. And then I started doing it. I basically found that trying to convince people to talk to the other mentors was a complete pain in the ass, and then people didn't show up for the meetings with other mentors. So some of the mentors that I had are fucking impressive mentor. You do not get to talk to these people. Like, noobs do not get to talk to these people. And yet, noobs were blowing off the meetings that they had with these people, right? And it's just like, oh, right. And so again, I don't want to babysit people. I just want to have a conversation, I want to have a good old time. And so it's looking at it, and it's taking all these different things that I've learned, and so, okay, what do I like to do? I like to talk with people one-on-one, right? You know, so I did meetups before, so I had this whole idea of geek happy hour. And so with geek happy hour, everybody just gets together and have beers. But again, I'm a bit of an aspie. I really am. Like, I need something to do. If I don't have some kind of structured exercise, I just get bored or drunk and bored, and then I get cranky. It's all bad, right? And so that was the thing. And so I'm looking at this, and it's like, okay, so I like talking with people individually, so I can get them together in a group, and then if we do a meetup where everybody comes with questions, then I can answer those questions, and then it becomes a structured format. And then, since I have this group of people together, I can then bring in other mentors or other guest stars, as I'll call them. And since multiple people are coming, even if one person doesn't come or two people doesn't come, right? If you have 10 people that are supposed to show up and then only 8 show up, it's still a success, right? So if I bring in a mentor, if I bring in somebody from my Rolodex and 8 people show up instead of 10, they're not going to think anything about it. They're going to be like, oh, well, it was probably good only 8 people showed up. We got to deal with these people better, right? Whereas if we do one-on-one Skype meetings and you don't show up, you know, if there's only one other person in the meeting and that one person doesn't show up, it's a bust, right? And so looking at all these things, like, right? Taking all these experiments together, I think this will work out. So we shall see, Like I say, this week, or tonight actually, we got the people coming. And then next week, we've got it in Durham, North Carolina. And then the week after that is where we will get to see whether it actually works out. But I think I'm liking this. So yeah, because again, that's one thing too. Like I say, with all businesses, you got to think about like there are enjoyable parts of businesses and then other things that suck. And one of the things that I do have to say, one of my main issues with this whole YouTube thing, I've talked about it a bit, is it's just so fucking lonely. I mean, like I'm an aspie, I'm an adventurer, I do a lot of stuff on my own. So I am used to being alone. Like being alone, I don't care. I will hop on a plane and fly to the other side of the world, having no idea, no plan, just a pack on my back, and be happy as a pig in mud. I will meet people on the other side of the world, I will get along with people on the other side of the world, and it will be a great little adventure, right? So I'm used to being alone. But there's kind of like this profound loneliness with YouTube, where you do just get sectioned off from like everybody else in the world. It's like you're in your own little YouTube world, and although you have all this weird comments and conversations with people, it's like literally not the same as like actually interacting. So that's where I think this meetup thing would be a good idea, because I can take all of these different components of what I've done before and then actually be around people. Because I'm not your friend. We're not friends, but I do like being around people. I say that with Aspies. It's kind of like people are like furniture. It's kind of like, I would say that, like with people, like having people around, the way I kind of think about people is like when you hear like birds in the forest. So when you're in the forest and you hear all the birds and all the cricket and all the frogs and all that, and they're chirping away, you know, it's just kind of that nice background noise. You hear that nice background noise and you feel comfortable. And then all of a sudden it goes quiet. And then as soon as it goes quiet, then you start getting a little nervous because all the critters went quiet. You're like, huh. So I'm the only thing making noise in this place right now, which means where's the predator at? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of I feel like with people. It's nice to have them in the background. You can kind of hear the noise. You can hear their little chirps and their noise, and it feels all safe. It's like, okay, if the predator comes in, if the wolf comes in, it'll eat one of those noisy ass things first. So, but I think the meetups will work well. Like I say, I'm surprised. I say the whole Silicon discourse thing, and that's why you need to experiment. Because I had, again, you look at me being on YouTube and doing videos like this, the thought that I would ever be doing this, like literally as a living, that would just be a ridiculous concept, right? And then just kind of wound up here, you know, through experimentation, wound up here. And again, like I say with the Silicon discourse, like when I started doing the Silicon trailer meetings, I swear to you guys, when I started doing this, I didn't think anybody would take me up on it. I honestly thought I would get 2 meetings per month. It was like, if I get 1 meeting per month, it's a success. as we travel around. And if I get 2 meetings a month, wow, that's a lot of people. And then I went out there and I was meeting up to like 4 people a week, right? I had people driving, I had people flying, I had people staying the night places. And I was like, really? And then what I found is I actually enjoyed it. And so again, experiment, like, okay, well, I actually enjoyed that. So then how can we do this in a different way? And that was the thing. So like with that, there wasn't any real good way to make money, right? Because it takes a lot of time and energy. So even if you charge somebody, let's say $25 for one of those meetings, you know, you got to prepare for it. You got to really schedule for it. You know, people have to be in the area when you're in the area. It's just not worth $25, to be honest with you, right? And then they have to decide whether or not they have the money. Well, so then I transition, and it's like, okay, well, that's worked so well. Let me do the Skype meetings. And again, so I do the Skype meetings, and then what I find with Skype meetings is really nice, is there's no commute time, right? There's no commute time on a Skype meeting. Since anybody in the world can join a Skype meeting, I've had Skype meetings from people in Cairo, people in Thailand, just had literally a rubber farmer in Guatemala. But since it's all now global, I don't have to worry about local things, you know, the location, then it's much easier to schedule people. And then since it's much easier to schedule people, there's no commute or any of that, I get so many people wanting to do it, then I start charging more and more money. So I started with $1 on that, and then $5, and now I'm up to $25 per meeting, which, again, I'm more than happy to basically do for free. But at the end of the day, that comes out to an extra $1,000 a month. Again, just another, and that's how business works in the real world. You guys all think it's like all this money grubbing stuff. It's more like you just sit there at the end of the month and go, hey, look, dear, here's another $1,000. Why did you get another $1,000? Well, you know, those Skype things I was doing? Yeah, well, you know, $25 a piece times whatever it is, 40 or whatever I do. You know, that actually comes up to $1,000 a month. Oh, cool, we got $1,000 more, right? And you do the experiment, and then like, okay, well, I'm doing that, and it's worth, $25. But, you know, a lot of people say, well, you should charge more. You should charge more for these Skype meetings. But again, I charge more for those Skype meetings, and you run into problems where the people that need the most help generally have the least money. And again, I don't mind charging, but if I start charging more and more, then what's going to happen is, even though I may be making more money, fewer people are going to sign up for appointments. So I'd rather just do 2 appointments per day and not really overly care about money, right? But then that becomes a question. I was like, okay, well then how could you transform this then into something that would actually be worth money? And then you sit there and you think about it, and you're like, well, you know, if I did one of these meetups, that would be fun to do. I think I could do that. And then you start thinking about it, it's like, hey, and you know, if I do the sponsor location thing, like I say, I know people who make fucking bank off of these kind of stupid little events. Again, I mean, these are like the YouTube quality of events. You have a location, you bring in interesting people, you get paid money. It's like, right? That's all these little things add together. But the big part with it is that you have to want to continue doing it, right? So I did 40 Silicon Trailer meetings, and basically got paid nothing for it. Like 40 meetings, 40 hours that I was with people. Well, at least some of them went like 3 hours. So, I mean, a lot. Like, I spent like the equivalent of a couple of work weeks doing that. And I made nothing. Maybe somebody donated some money. If somebody donated some money, I apologize, but I don't recall anybody giving me any money. So essentially, I made nothing off of that, right? And then, like I say, with the Silicon Discourse of Skype meetings, again, it started with $1 a piece. And, you know, the first month, maybe I had $20 or $30. And then I got so many people, I upped it to $5. And then, I don't know, maybe I made $200. And so many people upped it to $10. And again, made like $300. But again, who cares? $300, at least for me, is irrelevant. But then, you know, you add it up to $25, and I was like, that's money, right? But I got to that point because I was willing to do things while I didn't care about the money. And again, like I say, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this meetup tonight. And although I have all these ideas about how much money I can make tonight, everybody that's coming basically is paying $5. I'm having them pay some money just to make sure they actually show up. The problem with meetup is if it's free, people will say they're going to come and then they don't come. And that's not going to fly for me, right? I don't mind. If nobody shows up, then I'm just not going to go. But people say they're going to show up, and then I go, and nobody's there, then I'll be pissed off. So it's like $5, but again, I have to buy my gas, I have to buy my dinner, I have to pay for meetup, that's $20 a month. So it's really about a wash. Basically, I make no money for doing it, but I'm willing to go out there and do it for no money. So I'm doing it for no money this week, I'm doing it for no money this next week, and then the week after, no money. I'm probably not gonna make any money off of this, like I say, until I can get like somewhere between 10 to 20 people showing up pretty consistently. So, 2 or 3 months from now, probably, and again, so 3 months doing it for free, doing it because I basically enjoy doing it, and at the 3-month mark, that's where you start to go out and you start to get the sponsors. And then all of a sudden, like I say, a crap ton of money can come. And like I said, I've seen that with, it was so funny. I talked to you guys about people trying to stab you with checks. And I've seen that so many times, and that's with Ron. I remember this one guy came up, and he was like, oh, I need to tell your audience about my wonderful product. And Ron was like, well, that's fine. I told you about it. All you have to do is sponsor us. And he's like, okay. And he like starts to, it was like $4,000 or $3,000, whatever it was. It was like thousands of dollars. And this guy's like, I've got the check. Okay. Right. But you have to be willing to do it for free. Again, like I said, with Ron and his thing, he started Tech Breakfast out, just doing it because he had a normal startup company, a normal, it's called Bizello. It's actually a good idea, but it was a normal platform as a service type company. Made a lot of sense. Business development was a bitch though. it was one of those where I had a couple of conversations with Ron where it was like, yeah, kind of like I have with you guys, where it's like, yeah, I understand all the technical stuff, Ron, and I understand the value proposition. What I don't understand is how you're going to afford the business development to actually get enough sales to make this work, right? But anyways, yeah, he had this Bizello thing, and so he had moved to the Baltimore area because his wife had transferred or got a job around here, and he was from Boston, so he didn't know anybody here. So he started Bizello, he started Tech Breakfast. Basically, the idea was when he was creating this web app, he needed to know more about user interface design. So again, these are all different skills. You got back-end skills and you got database skills, and user interface design is like a real skill. Like, how do you design your interface so people actually want to use this really cool product you have? And so he wasn't perfect at that, so he wanted some more help. And so we started Tech Breakfast as an idea to get people together to talk about user interface design. So you design this interface and they design this interface. What did you use? What framework did you use? Really technical stuff. Back then it was really technical. But it was one of those things, as it grew, I was there in the beginning when it was 8 people around a table. And I still remember they got into this really esoteric conversation about PHP. And like really freaking esoteric, just like, what the hell? Like literally, it was me and these 3 guys from a web development company that were kind of just sitting there silently as these 4 people have this round and round and round argument about, like I say, whatever this was in PHP. Like, it was just so like, who the hell cares? Like, you literally have half your meetup going to sleep and you guys are still arguing about this. Whatever. And so I came to his like second, maybe his third one. And then the next one he decided, well, that wasn't really working. Half the people in the room were going to sleep. That's not a good thing. And so he decided to do the demos. So, okay, instead of just talking about programming, let's actually demonstrate the user interface and then, again, explain all the stuff behind it. And so we did that one, and that had like 20 people, and then the next one had like 30 or 40 people, and the next one had 50 people, and the next one had 100 people. And so we were like 8 or 9 months later, and he was still doing it all out of pocket, right? He was going to Panera, and he was buying coffee, and he was buying bagels. And so AOL, he kept growing and growing, and so AOL offered them their space, and their space was limited to like 150 people or something. And so I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And they kept growing it. And I was like, okay, Ron, so, when are we going to get bigger than AOL? And again, here's a real business. As he looked at me, he was like, Eli, I don't want to get bigger than this. I'm like, why? You have something successful. You have something growing. He was like, Eli, look, I still pay for the coffee and bagels. I was like, what? It was like, yeah, every time I do one of these tech breakfasts, it costs me $200 to do one of these things. I was like, oh, that's no good. He's like, hey, if we can find a sponsor or something, I'd be happy to grow. But, this is all coming out of my pocket. And so again, conversations that go on that you don't know are happening. So I was trying my own little experiment with a meetup group at that point, and there was a guy I knew who worked for Merrill Lynch, for Bank of America. And so we were sitting there and talking at the end of my little meetup thing, and I was talking to him. I was like, how do you get sponsors or whatever? And he was like, oh, you want a sponsor? I was like, no, I don't want a sponsor. But, Ron, he's really trying to grow his thing, and he doesn't want to spend any more for coffee and bagels. And, if we could get somebody to sponsor from like $200, $250, that would really, really help out. He was like, oh, yeah, no problem. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, just give me his email address or whatever. Yeah, sure, $250 a month. Yeah, we can do that. I was like, really? And so, yeah, Ron got his first spot. $250 for a conversation that was going on that he didn't know about. And then he got that, and then he got more sponsors and more sponsors and more sponsors. And then again, like I say, you sit there and you have those conversations, sitting down and talking to Ron. It's like, okay, well, you got Bazzello over here. This is your normal startup that we've been talking about for like 2 or 3 years that's still doing whatever the hell it's doing. And then you have Tech Breakfast that everybody wants. People are stabbing you with money. Right? And then that's how it started. He was willing to do it for like a year for like no money. Because again, it was just his little pet project. And then people started wanting to pay. We want to sponsor this thing. And now, like I say, he's got 13 tech breakfasts. He's doing something at South by Southwest. He has these business development meetups. He has like Meet the VC. He's turned into this whole event production company that, as far as I can tell, as far as doing my little Aspie math, seems like it's working out pretty damn well. But again, that was because he was willing to pay $200 a month to create something valuable, because it was something that he saw as a value. And because he then created something that really was valuable, people are now very willing to pay into it. And so that's what you guys got to be thinking about, because so many of you guys, I hear this over and over and over again, is as soon as somebody will pay me. Well, Eli, if somebody wants to pay me $3,000, I'll create a tech breakfast. Right? Because it's the whole chicken and egg thing. You guys don't quite get how it works. It's not that somebody walks up to you with a $3,000 bill and says, I will give you this if you do a tech breakfast. It's that you create the tech breakfast or whatever else. Create something that actually has value to the point that people want to give you money, and then you get successful past that. And that is one of the lessons, sadly, in the modern world that seems to just get left out. In this whole world of hackers and get rich quick and all this crap, something that gets left out of the equation is that simply building things that you find valuable and being willing to invest in them yourself because you honestly believe that they're valuable. And you do that and experiment and you iterate and all that kind of stuff, and that's how you get somewhere. Again, everybody's like, Eli, you want me to pay me $5,000 to create an event? I'll do it in a heartbeat. It's like, no, you won't. Stop lying. What do you mean? How dare you say I wouldn't create an event if you pay me $5,000? How can you possibly say that? It's like, because what events have you created? What have you done? What? I mean, why would I ever imagine that if I gave you $5,000, I would actually get a return on investment? What? Right? It's just like, right? Go create. And that creative thing is what you get paid for. Again, as I say, doing all my videos and all that. What gets lost in the equation? It was 2 years. 2 years before I was making any money off of videos. My first year creating videos, I swear to you, the sum total of money I made was like $250 fucking dollars. I bought servers, I paid for data centers, I paid for AdWords, I paid for all kinds of stuff, and I made $250. Why? Because I believed what I was doing was actually valuable. And that's what you got to do. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to go. Hopefully this will be the start of an actually valuable meetup. And then a year from now, I'll be telling you about this new, latest, greatest business venture that I've done. Or, as with everything, maybe it'll work out horribly. And after a month, I'll be like, oh, that was a stupid idea. I have no idea how it'll go. And that's the thing. That's the thing. When you start things, and that's why I talk about Ron with you guys a bit, and I talk about that story, is because that's so much how the world goes, right? you're focused on this one thing. You have this idea that this one thing, that is your $1 million idea. That is going to bring you success. And in order to achieve that $1 million idea, well, you know that you do this kind of little thing on the side. And then somehow that little thing on the side ends up being the $1 million idea. But you got to be going out there. You got to be doing stuff. If you're not doing, if you're not building, if you're not creating, right, you don't have anything to sell. Again, think about that. Like if I have a meetup and I have 20 people coming to the meetup and somebody wants to buy a sponsorship from me and they say, why should I buy a sponsorship from you? And I go, well, I've got 20 tech savvy people coming to me for business advice for a meetup. And you go, huh. And now you get to decide how much you think that's worth, but that, you know, that has a monetary value. Versus you want to start a meetup. And so you say, if you pay me money, I will create a meetup. And then people say, well, are you sure people are going to show up? Well, no, but I need money in order to start the meetup to see if people will show up. So do you know where you're going to be holding these meetups? Well, no, but I'm sure when I have money, I'll be able to get people to show up and then I'll find a place. And it's like, are you sure anybody cares about what you're doing? Well, no, but... Right? If you have a product, it's a hell of a lot easier to sell a product that you actually have in your hand. Look, this is the product that I have, and these are the ways that if I had more money, I can improve it. Versus, if I had money, I'd create a product. But anyways, with that, we will call it a day. And for anybody coming to the meetup, I will see you guys tonight. And anybody coming to the meetup in Durham, I'll see you guys in Durham. And Philadelphia, we will be having a Philadelphia meetup. April 23rd, I'm slotted, Saturday, April 23rd, I'm slotted to teach the IEEE networking class. So probably... I don't know, my wife and I are gonna go up early, do a little vacation in Philadelphia. So maybe like the Thursday before that, we'll do a meetup in Philadelphia. And with that, we'll just keep on keeping on, as they say. Catch you around.